Hey, what is going on guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 video. Now today is a pretty special day because Far Harbor recently just came out, and alongside this DLC came a whole bunch of new awesome and unique weapons to Fallout 4. Now today I decided to do a huge compilation of 10 of the most awesome weapons which were just recently added. I'm also going to be showcasing how to get them, and I also decided to order them from the least effective to the most effective so you guys know which one to go for first. And as always, if you do enjoy this video, then please don't leave without hitting that like button, especially if you would like to see more Fallout 4 content just like this. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and let's head over to Echo Lake Lumber. Now what you can find over here is a pretty interesting melee weapon. It's definitely a lot of fun to use, and you're going to want to come over to this house at Echo Lake Lumber. You don't have to worry about lockpicking or anything like that. There are several ways to the location we want to go to, which is of course the attic we're in right now. Once you've killed off all of the ghouls, you're going to want to make a dash for the red chest at the back of the attic, and what you will notice is there will be a weapon called the Harvester. Now this weapon is a load of fun to use, but you can modify it to make it even more amusing. So the pros and cons of this weapon are very simple. The pro is that it will cripple your enemy if you are dealing with one enemy, so you can kill it whilst it can't really kill you. The massive con to this is that it's a very slow damaging weapon, so if you're getting hit by tons of enemies, it's definitely going to get you killed. So next up, we're going to make our way to Beaver Creek Lane and go inside the bowling alley. You spawn right in front of it. It's right next to Far Harbor, so it's fairly easy to find, and you're going to want to follow the exact same route I take. Now this weapon is yet again a very amusing weapon, and it's so easy to find as well. Now this weapon is called the Striker. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to love it. So I'm now going to state the obvious that this weapon will not only weigh a ton, but so will the ammo. And bowling balls don't really come easy in Fallout 4, but if you want to just have a bit of fun around Beaver Creek Lane, feel free to grab this weapon and shoot as many ghouls as you can. A pro to this is that it's pretty much instant kill, and you can pick up the bowling balls afterwards, so as long as you keep track of them, then you're never going to run out of ammo. But like I said, it's pretty difficult to find bowling balls around this game, so I would recommend leaving this weapon behind or storing it somewhere where you can get it at a later date. But in the short term, use this on ghouls and just have a laugh because it's definitely very entertaining. And next up, we're going to make our way to Horizon Flight 1207, and you're going to want to listen out for a voice from Erickson asking you to come out. Now don't kill this guy. Erickson is actually a really useful guy in Far Harbor, and you can even trade with him as well if you want to. But once you trade with him, you can get a brand new weapon which was just introduced into Far Harbor called the Butcher Hook. It does a lot of damage, and the speed is pretty average on this. For the right price of 192 caps, this weapon can be yours, and personally I think it's a fairly moderate price for what it is. And when equipping this and wielding it, you will notice you can do quite a bit of damage on the enemies which come at you. I decided to find an enemy for myself, so I found myself an angler, and then I decided to do a few swipes on it, and within about 3 to 4 swipes, I did end up taking down the angler. So it's definitely a very efficient weapon. Is it the best melee weapon? Definitely not, but it's good for the price. So next up, we're going to make our way to Arcadia, and this weapon requires a quest. So you're going to want to speak to Chase at Arcadia. She will then send you all the way over to Far Harbor, and once you're back at Far Harbor, you're going to want to speak to someone called Brooks. Now this quest is called The Arrival. It's fairly easy and straightforward, so you won't have to worry about time consumption. Anyway, once you've spoken to Brooks about this missing synth, he will then tell you that he thinks he knows something about it. He'll send you on an investigation to try and find a blood trail, which you do find, of course. You follow it a few steps and you'll make your way inside this house where you will find a random encounter in which you can then talk to him about the synth, tell him you don't want any trouble. He will then happily hand over the head of the synth without any violence at all. This of course closes is the case that the missing synth is in fact dead. So simply go back to Arcadia, speak to Chase, tell her the news, and then she will reward you with a Hitman's Boosted Fiery Institute rifle. It's not the best rifle, but it's definitely free, and it takes 5 minutes to get, so enjoy it. So next up, we're going to make our way to the nucleus, and you're going to want to find someone called Sister Mai, and she basically tells you about a problem she has, and she needs to get a pump regulator, so she will send you on a quest called ABLUTIONS, in which you tell her you'll think about it. Of course, when you do this quest, all you're going to want to do is simply make your way to the Vim Pop factory, and once you're over there, you're going to want to collect up the pump, return back to Mai, and she will reward you with a brand new weapon. This weapon has a pretty cool name called Radical Conversions. Now, it's not the best weapon, and you can actually get a better one upstairs. I will talk about that a bit later on, but it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to get. It's free as well, and it does quite a bit of damage, and it's also perked up with quite a few awesome things as well, so it's definitely a useful weapon to have. Anyway, let's get into the next weapon. This is definitely my most favorite weapon of them all. It's pretty badass, and you can get it from the nucleus. But something which I forgot to mention is how you can actually get accepted into the nucleus. This is very easy. It's called a quest called Visions of the Fog. It's very easy and straightforward. You take a drink from the Atom Spring, then you crack a terminal, you get the mother icon, and then you go back to the nucleus and hand the icon to them. Now, this all happens pretty much around the same area, so you won't have to worry about traveling too much, and like I said, it's fairly straightforward and easy. You hand over the icon, they accept you inside, and then you can start getting these awesome weapons. It's something I recommend you guys doing early on if you haven't done it already, but once you're inside, go and speak to Richter again, and then say you're ready to serve on new missions and more tasks. He will then assign you to the Heretic, and once you're assigned, you're going to want to go to Zealot Thiel just at the other side of the nucleus, and once you go and speak to Thiel, you'll tell her how you will find Sister Gwyneth. She will then give you a few clues on where you can do it, in which you have 2 pinpoints on your Pip-Boy. Upon investigation, it's basically 2 signs you have to go and take. This, of course, will give you more clues about Gwyneth, which will then direct you to Gwyneth's journal. You then take a listen to her journal, which takes about a minute or 2. Once you've listened to it, it will then direct you to a ruined church where you can find Gwyneth. So once you're at the ruined church, simply go inside. You will find Gwyneth standing there, saying how the children of Atom are all deceived. Now, she can be persuaded pretty easily, so simply just tell her to come back to the nucleus. She will then say, I think I should, etc, etc. You go back to the nucleus, you go over to Richter. Richter will say, well done, and he will reward you with a pretty awesome weapon. It doesn't really matter which choice you choose, he will still give you it anyway, so you don't have to go guns blazing. But once he rewards you with it, you will understand exactly how awesome it is, because it is the Atom's Judgment with a pretty high damage rate. The only downside to it is that it's very slow at speed, so if you are in close combat, then there's quite a bit of chance you won't actually be able to hit your enemy, because they will hit you back first. But as you can see, it does a lot of damage. It's just not the most efficient weapon in combat because it's a bit too slow to use. And it's also got a pretty cool effect to it as well, an animation. You can actually see the radiation swarm around the front of it, and it's just a really awesome weapon around. And it's free as well, so definitely go and get it. And next up, you're going to want to make your way over to Far Harbor, and you're going to want to speak to a woman called Casey. She will then send you on a quest called Blood Tide to kill a few ghouls and, of course, find Douglas to kill him as well. It's mainly just a combat exercise. You don't really have to try and find loads of things. You basically have to find this guy called Douglas in a lighthouse, go and kill him, which, of course, is fairly easy to do anyway. Once you've killed him, simply go and report back to Casey. She will tell you well done, and then she'll reward you with what I believe to be one of the best Far Harbor melee weapons, which is called the Bloodletter. You may have seen this fish hook in the trailer as well. You can also upgrade it to have 4 spikes on the end, which makes it absolutely kick-ass. It doesn't do as much damage as the Atom's Judgment, but it has a faster swing to it, so it's more effective in combat. And next up, this one is in the nucleus just above from Sister May, and you're going to want to barter with Kane. When bartering, you're going to want to scroll down his inventory until you come across a weapon called the Kiloton Radium Rifle. And this rifle is a lot more powerful than Sister May's rifle just down below the Radical Conversion. The only disadvantage is that you buy this rifle for just over 600 caps, and of course the Radical Conversion is free, but the advantage to this is that this rifle is very, very powerful. It will do a lot of damage, and of course it's got a lot of range to it as well, so if you do use this long range, you can keep that consistent level of damage against your enemies. Anyway, next up, we're going to make our way back to Arcadia to try and find the runners-up new weapon in Far Harbor. And this, in my opinion, is a pretty good weapon to have. You do have to barter for it, so it does cost a lot of money. But once you've got it, you won't regret getting it. So to get this weapon, you're going to want to make your way inside Arcadia, and once inside, you're going to want to speak to a guy called Dijen. Dijen is a very useful trader. So once you've told him you're no threat, you're going to want to speak to him again, and he will basically offer to barter with you, in which you can check out his inventory. So inside his inventory, he will not only have the new weapon, but also a lot of bullets for the weapon as well, so I recommend stocking up if you don't have any, which is something I didn't have, so I recommend using him for the ammo as well. But anyway, simply scroll down to the O section, and you will notice there is a brand new weapon called the Old Reliable for 1,066 caps. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money, but if you do want to get a good weapon, this is a weapon to get from Dijen. As you can see, I'm using this in probably not the most sensible way in close quarters against the enemy, and it took about 2 to 3 shots to actually down him. And last but not least, at number 1, you're going to want to speak to Alan Lee at Far Harbor, and he will have 2 new weapons which you may have never seen before. I'm going to be showcasing the better one, which is of course the Admiral's Friend for 1,206 caps. This is basically a harpoon gun, and it does double damage on enemies with 100% health. I also recommend buying the harpoons from this guy as well, but as you can see, I find 3 trappers, I instant kill all of them with this weapon, and I don't miss a single shot. So for the right price, this weapon could be yours, and in my opinion, this is definitely one of the better weapons I have found in Far Harbor. So that pretty much wraps up the entire compilation of 10 awesome new and unique weapons which were just added into Fallout 4 in the Far Harbor DLC. Now, as I said at the start, this isn't every single new weapon, this is just 10 awesome weapons I decided to include. Of course, there's still more weapons out there, and if you can think of any others, be sure to comment them as well as how to get them in the comment section below. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy, don't forget to subscribe by clicking the red subscribe button below so you won't miss out on any more awesome content just like this, and also leave a like if you did enjoy, as it would be very much appreciated. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, you guys are awesome, and I will see you guys in the next video.